in 3. I'm waiting for the confirmation. Nothing's happening. And there we go. Right. Hello, everyone. I am here with Phil, my opponent from round 5 of the WTC. I made a video where I talked about Phil and my game, and I completely fumbled the software. Sorry about that. I haven't taken it down because, it's still content. It's just bad content. So as an apology, I really wanted to feature Phil here. Also because, Phil, you had quite a lovely army, and we can actually show that because you have got the pictures. Hi, Phil.
Yeah. Hi, Bo. Hi, everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how you went to the WTC, what you experienced, how the games was, your army as well, and then we're going to go into maybe a little bit more detail about our game. So that's basically what we're doing today. And Phil, you made a rather lovely PowerPoint for us to see, which I'm going to show to everyone now, because yeah, that was one of the things with our game, was that really lovely army. It wasn't actually an army you had painted yourself. Was that correctly understood?
That's right. My friend, have you got the coming up now?
It's coming up. Just a sec. Here we go. You should be able to see it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
No, not right now. What is that? Not
slideshow. That's it.
There we go.
Yeah. So basically, I've got a bolt action. I've got a Chindit army and a Japanese army, and this Chinese army, I sort of not inherited. I brought it off a friend of mine. So he had painted it all, and basically I brought it as I used to do a scenario, a battle. I've used it before as extra PCs, like a large bolt action game, where it's a historical battle in Burma where the British, it's a bit like a Rorke's Drift thing where they're surrounded by the Japanese.
Yeah.
So I needed a few extra figures for that. We've used it before with my friend. So I brought it for that reason. But I entered a tournament with it last year, and I did really good on it. I was really surprised. So this is all the collection, basically.
And that's quite a large army, isn't it?
It is,
a lot of options. What made you decide to use this particular army when you figured out that you were going to the WTC?
Right. Well, usually I take more. This is the whole collection. It's not just what I took to the WTC.
Yeah, this is a lot more than what you had. I can see that.
Yeah, the WTC, I took about half of that. Basically, the WTC needed dice more than 12, because usually our local tournaments, they cap the dice at 12. So I take more quality, but for the WTC, I thought I needed a bit more dice, so I use smaller units and only one of the big sword squads.
You would usually play more than one?
I usually take, well, the first time I took 3.
Wow.
I did really well with it.
Yes. Yes, they're not bad at all. I mean, in our game, I stayed well away from your big sword guys because they were terrifying.
Yeah. And really, because usually that's the sniper. Now, yesterday, for taking these photos, my wife's doing a photography course. So I asked her to take some photos of try to get them. This is a good one, what she took, because it's one of these expensive cameras, all the settings and everything. She's trying to get used to it. So it took ages to get a couple of photos. So the rest are done on an iPad, but this is one of the ones what she did. So the actual figures are from copperstone castings. From the Back and Beyond range. And they're all metal. The little metal thing. So
they had that lovely metal weight to them that we all miss with our plastic minis.
Yeah. I mean, I try to put mine on metal washers to make a bit more weight than the plastic ones. So this is the big sword squad, or one of them.
Yeah, one of them. Just
Yeah.
look at these guys. That don't they look terrifying? Just I mean, everyone at the swords, and they are all big and burly because they're these metal castings. They sort of have the heft to them as well, which I think adds to the intimidation when you're facing them. Actually,
Yeah. I mean, I just wish they had scary blighters because I think they got
yeah, yeah,
bigger swords than the actual Gurkhas. I know the Gurkhas' reputation
yeah.
was what
Is
made
is
them.
what it represents here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really nice.
And here we have one of the nationalist infantry squads, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I mean, my friend Kevin, he used them as communists,
Yep.
but the uniforms interchanged during the war. I've done a bit of research, and they both use the same type of uniforms depending on the region, because obviously China's such a big place. You know, they
Yep.
can't have a central uniform place. So yeah, so this is like a normal rifle squad with a couple SMGs as well.
Yep.
Just a representation.
Some militia.
These are the inexperienced
Yep.
levy.
Yep.
Um, and these were the suicide bombers.
Oh yeah.
That's tank.
That these because there was one suicide bomber that really made the whole game work for you, but he's not one of these guys. I can tell because I would recognize that guy anywhere. As soon
But
as I
yeah,
see him next time, you know he's dead, right? If I
yeah.
face him on the table again, I'm pouring everything into that one guy.
Uh,
And but
these
they
are
had
the
lovely minis. Yeah,
flamethrowers.
yeah,
Now there's two flamethrowers, but I think the list only could take one.
yeah,
But obviously, it's probably when Kevin brought him, you can only buy two min max or something like the
yeah,
min
yeah.
buy when he brought the figures.
And this is your yak slash horse-drawn limber, is it?
Yeah, yeah, remember? Yeah.
That's really cool. I know that you can for the fins you can 3D print like reindeer that pull a sleigh for your howitzers, but I have not seen this before with a an oxen pulling
Yeah.
the howitzer. That's really cool.
Now I've used that this morning. Oh, this is one of mine actually. Well, painted
Yep,
for the tournament, not for the WTC, but a tournament I went the week before
yep,
in Alicante, and I wanted something a bit more meatier to
yep.
take on the tanks.
Mm.
Um, Now this is the actual camouflage they used, the Chinese used, um, which looks a bit more like a cartoon
It does.
tank, and it's supposed to be scary,
Yeah,
to look like a tiger. It's painted
yeah,
supposed
yeah, yeah.
supposed
I
to look
can.
like a tiger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see
So
that.
I did ask at Alicante to the organizer, can I use tiger for you?
Yeah.
But
And a mortar here.
it's
Again,
heavy mortar. They used the World War One
yeah,
trench mortars, so it's quite
yeah.
a big
That's a
mortar.
big, hefty one. Actually,
And I did,
I saw one this summer. I went to France with the son, and we went to
yeah,
a museum, and they had these World War One trench mortars there. Yeah,
yeah,
it was a big piece of machinery.
yeah. I mean, as you see there's a guy there eating his rice, and the officers not looking too happy at him on his on his break.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a lunch break.
Kevin, I'm going to say Kevin, my friend, is really good at making themes on the actual figures as well.
Yeah,
The armies what he has, he always goes for competition type of armies, but there's always something in there
yeah,
to make them historical and a bit quirky as well.
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
these Bagger Beyond minis, they really have a lot of character to them, don't they?
yeah, they do, yeah.
So let's talk about your experience at the WTC. You were not actually playing for the Spanish, even though you live in Spain.
Yeah, yeah.
So how did that come about?
Well, basically, like I say, my friend Kevin, he's was in the Spanish winning WTC when he was in
Yep,
Poland.
yep,
Now, I used to spar with him. I used to play practice games with him, but I knew to qualify for that team, because it was very competitive over
yep.
here in Spain, you had to go quite a few qualification tournaments, and I didn't really have the time
No.
to do that because, as you saw downstairs, I have got quite a few gaming systems. I play
Yeah, we haven't
SAR.
showed this because the
No,
internet connection is not very good, but we started our meeting down in Phil's basement, and he's got a huge collection of different historical minis. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, so I play tournament-wise Saga, Muskets and Tomahawks, Bolt Action, Arctic Gear, a new Napoleonic system as well. So my time's limited.
Yeah.
Basically, I have to relearn the rules about a
Yeah.
month beforehand
Yeah.
for each tournament. I usually have a tournament every month.
Yeah.
Something on the line. So yeah, so I didn't really fancy qualifying, going for qualifications to Spanish,
Yeah.
not knowing that they had 4 Spanish teams.
Yeah, because they ended up sending quite a few teams because it ended up just fitting that way. So
Yeah. So on Facebook, on the Bolt Action, John Ross, who you had on who was the
yeah,
team captain, put a call out that USA team, they might be doing a team 3. Was there
yeah,
anybody willing to go on there?
yeah,
And with myself living in Spain, about 3 hours from Granada, I
yeah,
said, well, if you can find 3, because I know how hard it is to get people to go from America, and you've got 3 people who want to go, I can make up the 4th.
yeah,
So he kept me in mind. Originally, I was going to be on the South African team,
yeah,
and then at Christmas that fell through,
yeah.
and they couldn't get the players. So, and then there was a place came up on the Team 1 USA with John. I said, well,
So I'll
yeah,
try it.
I always want to experience
Yeah,
the WTC.
yeah.
I'm not a power gamer or anything like that, but I like to
You
play
like to go to
tournaments.
tournaments?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know from experience what I've heard, it is a good experience. So I wanted to have a look and see what it's like.
Yes, it typically is. Even though people might get their asses kicked, if you take it for what it is, it
Yeah,
can always be a good experience anyway.
yeah,
So that's really
yeah.
good.
And I
I
wanted
was
to play.
really yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, and I want to play with the best as well to see, how they
And what
play.
were you surprised at the level, or were you surprised that you could actually follow along, or was that? I mean, how was that?
I think Bolt Action is quite a leveler with
Yeah,
the randomisation of it.
yeah,
Okay, the top players still get there, but like I say, I play an ancient game which is called
yeah,
Art de Guerre, where
yeah,
instead of a bucket of dice, like
mm,
in Bolt Action or Saga or whatever, you have 1 dice for each combat.
yeah,
So it's more like chess.
yeah,
So that is really, really, serious stuff
yeah.
type of thing, where you can deploy your troops and then you're lost.
Oh,
If
yeah,
you deploy wrong,
yeah,
you've lost the game,
yeah,
which usually I do. But for bolt action, you can just get a lucky break on the dice, on a barrage,
yeah,
preempt,
yeah.
and that's a great lever, I think. Like obviously, like Spain, won this. The good players still reach the top.
They typically will, yeah.
Yeah,
But there is a lot more variation. I agree because there is a lot more. The dice can pull
and
you a lot more.
yeah, and like in your game, with our game,
Yeah,
there's still them highlights. Still, you
yeah,
can still get a highlight out of the actual game where you blow something up, you get a lucky
yeah,
6 with a double
yeah.
6, and
Exactly.
something happens. So
Yeah.
that's why I like bolt action, and it's more cinematic.
So
So
here
yeah,
is the whole team.
this is the whole team. I
America
think
won.
yeah. So you've had 3 of us on.
Yes.
So you need to get Evan on the show, and then
I,
it's like,
I need to get Evan, and then I have the full set.
yeah, it's like Pokemon.
And for people who don't know, on the left here we have Ryan, who is a champion player in the US. He's
Very good
won a
player.
lot of tournaments. He's a very good player.
And he's only just
Um,
started as well.
sorry?
He's only started about a year ago.
Yeah, a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah,
It's really recent.
yeah, it's not
But
long.
he's coming in from other competitive systems,
Yeah,
both from
yeah,
40K and from Infinity, the game,
yeah,
uh, playing competitively in both of them. So he knows competitive
yeah,
miniature play basically.
yeah,
And then we had Evan,
yeah.
whom I didn't know in advance, but who was a really great guy. He was really pressured on day 2. He had a bad case of stomach, something upset.
Yeah, he's my
Um,
roommate, so I know.
oh, Oh, that's bad. And then John
Uh,
Ross, who is
John,
a
yeah, great
TO
guy.
and club runner,
Yeah.
and who has been captain for several years now. And then you.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that was the team.
So yeah, so like you might tell by my accent, I'm not American.
No.
I'm from England, from the central in the Midlands, Stoke-on-Trent. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a
Yeah.
case of
But
I think it's quite.
well, let's call the Americans a former British colony, and that'll be all right then.
John
Just as
Roberts. John Roberts says Britain 2.0. That's how he was.
2.0, yes, an upgraded Great
Oh,
Britain.
great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
So
said it's all colonies. Yeah.
yeah. So you went to the WTC, and is this picture that we have here? Is this taken from your first games?
This is the first game. We played Spain 3,
Yeah.
who are from Toledo,
Yeah.
or as John and the rest of the American team said, Toledo. Uh, yeah, it was the first one. It was on the one where, is it No Man's Land, where it's the
Yeah.
kill, it's
Yeah.
just kill points.
Yeah.
And we were, actually, it was a bit of a strange one because there was a bunkers and
Mm.
trenches,
Yeah. You
and
can
it's,
just see the bunkers here on the table
yeah,
here. Yeah.
yeah, we just said that's I think we said it was like a hardcover, basically,
Yeah.
not a
So it
bunker.
was basically just a hill. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
and yeah, there's trench system on both, and then quite a bit of open land between the two
Yeah.
areas.
And how did you do
So
in that game?
I won that game. I did
Well
all
done.
right. Sauda, who's there in the picture, with the
Mm.
fingers holding up the right way,
Yeah.
she was quite new. I would say she was quite new to the system.
Yeah.
And Spanish, I mean, obviously I can speak Spanish as well, so we got by, and
Yeah.
she was very pleased that she was playing me. I think she
Yeah.
was very nervous
Yeah.
uh,
And
for the
and
first
and
game.
and that it really was very, very good that you guys ended up playing, because there was a lot of the Spanish players who are not that great at English, so it is a hurdle to get past
Yeah,
that language barrier. So
yeah,
having someone who speaks fluent Spanish is really nice.
yeah. I think it's a
Um,
family affair. A
yeah,
brother was next to her. He was
yeah,
I think he was the team captain, and
yeah.
then their father was one of the guys. Other guys, I don't know who the other guy was as well.
Okay. So
Um,
it was a whole family going
it was like
and
a
being this.
family, yeah.
Yeah,
From
yeah, yeah,
uh, that's Spain 3, so
yeah.
it's just an opening, so they went.
And then you went to your second game. Can you
Yeah,
remember who you played there?
yeah.
Because you were in a pool here with another group, in another group from me, so I can't remember your group.
Well, this is
Yeah,
the French team. I played Pierre, who had Chinese communists. So this is a historical
this was
Chinese
a historical
nationalist
matchup. Yeah.
matchup. Yeah, and this is the objectives, and we had 4 objectives. 3 were in the middle. I think you put one
One,
further back.
two. I can't see them.
Yeah, there's 2 there. There's one. Just it got one right on the other side by that hill.
Over here.
Yeah, there's one
Okay.
over there somewhere,
Okay.
and there was one, I think, by that house,
Mm,
behind his line.
okay.
Um, but basically, he was a very good player. I think he won all his matches. He came top in the
Yeah,
actual
I
individual.
think he might have done, although there was a little bit of a mix-up because there were two Pierres on the
Yes,
French team,
yeah,
which
he did.
meant that at least in my summation of the data that I got, I couldn't really count him in because I didn't know
Right.
what matches were won and not.
Yeah,
There was a mix-up. As long as it's because it's a team event, it didn't really matter because
yeah,
the
yeah,
individuals' standings were not that important for
yeah.
anything. So it was just a matter of have your team won this
Hmm.
against this team. Okay, you won.
But
But yeah,
this one was it was a bit. Yeah, with the blockage
mm,
on the road, I made a few mistakes.
yeah,
My big swordsmen were pinned at the back.
yeah.
I know
Oh,
they
that
aren't supposed
sucks.
to be pinned, but they hadn't come on when I took this photo. I don't think they came on then. Uh, I made a few mistakes basically, and
Yeah.
I lost that one. But he's a very good
A,
player. So
a good player will punish you if you make mistakes. That will immediately
exactly,
be punished
yeah.
and exploited.
We
So
had a lot of forward deploy
yeah,
guys with pistols who are good in
yeah,
combat.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. That was always going to be a hard matchup, wasn't it?
yeah,
With the Chinese communists forward deploying their guerrilla cells, and they have pistols and tough fighter. Nah, it's really difficult to get to the objectives then.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
then the final match of the first day.
yeah, and this is one of my best games ever, I think. It was against England too. So that was
Yeah,
Martin, a
yeah.
really nice guy in England too. It's on the. I don't know if you played on this table
I
with
did.
the
Yes.
the
Yes.
shatters and the high walls,
Yeah.
and it was the double
Yeah. Envelopment.
uh,
Yeah. So
envelopment.
so you got points for pushing into the enemy zone and killing him.
Yeah.
Um.
So I was going to say I had my suicide one of my suicide guys
Mm,
in the one closest to me in the walls by the door.
yeah.
Um, and then first move, he ran to 12. So he's within 12 of the side of that wall, the
Mm,
other guy, yeah, where your
yeah.
puncher is.
Yeah.
You got a clear, there's nobody there. So all I needed to do was have my dice pulled out first,
Oh.
and I can get him off straight away and turn two.
Oh.
And he pulled his dice out, or I pulled
Oh.
his dice out. So he
Oh.
brought an Indian squad on who
Yeah.
moved up on the second turn,
Yeah.
and they shot at him. I went down.
Yeah.
Now, I take veteran anti-suiciders, and they're like the Matrix. They can dodge bullets like
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And he missed with all his guys. So the next turn, I got the first turn out, and I took him out of the way, and he
Yeah.
went into the other chateau
Yeah.
through that door at the front. You can just
Yeah.
about see it there. And he stood there. Now, with him being high walls and me being on this side of the table,
Yeah.
I forgot about him. Whilst everything else was going on.
Yeah.
I forgot about him for a move or so. Then I thought, I wonder if it's got a door on the back of there, because I couldn't see.
Yeah.
I had a look around the side of the table, and there was another door at the back. So on turn 5, I
Pull
managed to
out.
go around there, go around the back,
Yeah.
go through the door. The only unit he has by then, because all the units were committed by turn 5, turn 6, or
Yeah.
more forward, was an anti-tank rifle who
Mm,
was on ambush.
yeah.
But I wasn't in line of sight of him. So they sort of like pointing that way,
Yeah.
looking over there, and he's sneaking off the back and gave me 3 points.
So you sneaked him out.
Yeah, he ran
That
out.
is amazing.
Yeah, so
Especially
that
because Martin knew you were there. He had tried to kill you once, and you still got him away.
yeah,
That's really good.
I think how the terrain was with the high walls
Yeah.
and the house, we both forgot about him.
If the viewers don't know, these walls were ruled that they were basically dense terrain, so they were very very
Yeah,
high, and you
yeah,
couldn't see anything, and that meant that there were huge line of sight blockers on the table, which really meant a lot for how you played on this table.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah,
yeah,
so on the other side, he had terrain. He had Stewarts. He took.
yeah,
I faced mainly all the Stewarts.
yeah.
You
Of
know.
course you did. Of course you did. I
So
think you should blame John for that, because he definitely set you up for that, right?
no, I
He
mean
was like, he's just a spare player. Give him to the stewards.
no. To be fair, I said it doesn't matter. I'm here for the
Yeah,
experience, and that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
played against Stewarts because, like I say, my friend he's more of a
yeah.
competitive player, and he's takes Stewarts and Gurkhas as well. So I'm
Of
used to.
course he does. Yeah,
I'm used to playing with that.
yeah,
So he had his Stewarts on the other side, where I've got a couple of my veteran infantry units.
yeah.
But on this side, I had an inexperienced guys, my levy,
Mm,
and he first I took out a transport truck with engineers in,
yeah,
completely out, close sorted in. Then he brought on a flamethrower
yeah,
who flamed my levy,
yeah.
and I passed the test. And then the next move, I passed the test again,
Yeah.
to charge him and took out his flame. So
Well, that exactly what we talked about earlier. Sometimes in bolt action, the dice means that you
exactly,
get something that's highly unlikely. You get
yeah,
it, and then you just win the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But having sneaked that one guy over and killing his engineers by charging him before he can, I mean, you were already winning that game. Well
yeah. I
played.
mean,
Well played.
because but and then the last part was I had my large lorry, the
Yeah.
carries 14 passengers,
Yeah.
had four units in there. I had one
Yeah.
of my anti-tank guys in there, officers in there, flamethrowers in there, and somebody else, I think. I'm sure it was 4 units.
Mm.
And because I cleared them engineers and everybody out of the way on that side, I
Yep.
was able to drive my truck up to the wall, so they're hidden from the stewards,
Yeah.
between the two buildings there, and then the
So
next
somewhere here.
between
Oh, over here.
my side, this between that house, that's
Yeah.
it there, yeah. I
Okay.
was able
Yeah.
to move into there. That's where my levy took out the flamethrower and everything. So I got a clear field then.
Yeah.
And then the next turn, he couldn't do anything anyway. I didn't have to wait for me first dice. He hadn't got anything there to, because my sniper as well took out his artillery observer on the first turn, on the first
Yeah.
dice. So he had nothing to counter me, and I just drove it off, and I got 15 points or something like that with that
Yeah.
truck.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's a game-winning move. That is.
so in the end, I got 30 points to
Wow.
his 12. He got about 12 because he managed to
Yeah.
get his stewards off, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But
that's
that
the
is really good.
yeah. Uh,
Congratulations on that one.
yeah, as opposed, we had the same scenario at Alicante the
Mm.
weekend before, and that's the worst game of my life. And it's the same scenario, and I had
Yeah.
my truck, and
Well,
every
you used up all your bad luck in
yeah,
Alicante,
exactly.
and then got it saved up for this game.
They say every dice pull out, whether it's me pulling out or the guy pulling out, the Spanish guy pulling out. We pulled out all his dice for about 5 times before any of mine came out each turn. And I got my truck the same as scenario as that, where he had a Puma which was hiding, I forgot
Yeah.
about, and he moved his Puma out.
Yeah.
And that's it. I got it halfway, the truck halfway, and he fired his. He pulled out the dice, and it was my turn to pull the dice out. I pulled his out,
Yeah.
his dice. So he brought his Puma up. I needed a 4 to hit. Got the 4 straight away.
Of course he
Blew
did.
up everything, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I had in a space of 7 days, I had my best game and my worst game of my life. But yeah, and
And
top
then we went to day 2, and this
yeah,
is our game. Um,
yes, it's
so
supposed to be
finally,
Spain.
people, you can see this was our table.
Yeah,
Amazing. Right, and that's me sitting over there.
yeah,
We had this with a small village with a village square in the middle, and
yeah,
we were playing Heartbreak Ridge, which had 3 objectives. I had one objective here,
yeah,
then we had one in the middle here, and you
yeah.
had an objective all the way over here in the
Yeah,
corner.
so,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, because we played Spain one because we were in 4th position. We were, like
yeah,
you said on this before, that we were
yeah,
pretty good. We were on 4th position. So we played Spain one for the first game. I didn't take any photos of that because it's quite an intense game.
yeah,
And also, as you've said before about some of the guys in our team
yeah,
had food poisoning or bad stomachs or
yeah.
whatever.
They were not doing well.
No,
But
and
I guess you lost the first round, right? And
yeah.
then you
So
faced off on
yeah, so
Denmark
we
one.
lost them. So we're
Yeah,
against yourselves, yeah. So yeah, so obviously I set up. It was that part on the left-hand side, the two, the hedgerows.
yeah.
That really threw me because it was like a no man's land. I mean,
It was. Yeah,
as you can see, you got your Gurkhas came out,
yeah.
and
I deliberately placed my Gurkhas out here to see if I can lure you into placing over here,
yeah,
and you did. Were you
yeah.
always planning on placing your troops over here?
It was a case of line of sight because I had the mortars
Yeah.
And I think who else did I have? I had the scouts who could deploy. That was another one,
Yeah.
a 3-man SMG team, and
That's these
we,
guys, and then a
yeah,
sniper team over here as well.
sniper team and the mortar spotters were over
Yeah.
there as well to give me something to look at
Yeah.
to see. So I just didn't want you to do. I was expecting you to do a flanking move over there, I suppose, with your
And I was
stewards.
never ever
Like,
going to do that, Phil, because
no,
I always knew that I wanted these Gurkhas. If I could, I would have wanted to charge up there, but of course you pinned me out immediately, which you should. But the other thing that I wanted to do was move towards the center objective. I always knew I wanted to push into this village here because I felt like if I could just dominate that center objective, if I could get my guys into the house first or something like that,
yeah,
I would win.
yeah,
Um, but then, of course, everything changed when you meet the enemy, and you did something quite unexpected for me as well. And then I had to change my plan. But um, so
yeah,
the Gurkhas over here was always that was never going to happen. It was a lure.
yeah,
Um, it did work for a bit, not for long though, but it did work for a bit.
yeah.
Um, for me, the real kicker is this unit over here, because that is your big swords, right?
Is that the big sword or is that the levy?
It could be the levy.
I
Anyways,
think it's the levy because I moved
the
them up to that house first to contest.
that is right. You moved the levy up first, and then I killed them, and then
Yeah,
came the big
you
swords. Yes,
cleared them out. Yeah, and then I brought
yes,
the big swords in, which was a mistake in a way, um, because I know you said it was a good move and it was hard to get them out. But I needed them really to defend my objective as well.
yes. That is true. It ends up with me because let's just go over this, right? I actually end up pushing towards Phil's objective down here, because this objective I have Gurkhas, I have stuff on it, and Phil,
Mm.
you're pushing your flamer and you're pushing your levy, and then the big swords as well.
Yeah,
And as soon as the big sword squads hit that house, they were actually contesting the objective, and
yeah,
I knew I couldn't take them in close combat, even though I had Gurkhas. That was never going to happen because the big swords are fanatics, right?
yeah.
So they are fanatic, veteran, tough fighters. That is, wow,
But they're
that's
very expensive as well. That's the
they're
problem.
very expensive, but it's a
Yeah,
big unit and they're chunky, and I'm never going to get them out. I
yeah,
knew that, so I
yeah.
knew this objective ended up being
Contested stream. Yeah,
contested. I had my own objective fairly secure. If you could have pushed out with the big swords at some point, that
yeah,
could have been an issue. But I
yeah,
felt like it was fairly secure, so I had to push towards your objective if I wanted to win. And
yeah.
there you actually needed more power, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only problem with the big swords in that house as well, there was no opening on your
Yeah.
side where your gear, because we're where the objective was. So
Yes.
I had no line of sight to actually charge.
Yeah. You
It
had to
would,
go out this
I
way
would
or
have had
that
to,
way. Yeah.
yeah, and it would have meant being either your SAS, your Jeep with the machine guns,
Yeah.
or your Stuarts. They would have to face that for a
Yeah.
move before they
Yeah.
could actually charge your gear. So
Yeah.
I was a bit stuck in that house,
Yeah.
just
You were a
contesting.
bit, but at least you contested, which
Yeah, yeah,
if you could have kept me off your objective down here, then that would actually have secured you the draw at least.
yeah. Because I've got
Um,
the guys behind that wall,
yeah,
the veteran, what you can see there
yeah, these
across from
guys.
that ruin.
Yeah,
And I made a mistake there as well because the the ruin in
mm,
front of opposite, you had your Stuart hiding behind there.
yeah. I first turn I got my stewards in, I ran it up behind the ruin, and then I drove it into the ruin at some point. Started
Yeah,
shooting out of the ruin.
yeah,
Um,
and that's my mistake because I was thinking it looks like a building. It was a
mm,
ruin,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I
We
was I
said
was
that all
surprised when
these were
yeah,
ruins.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, they were. But it's just, when you have something in your head that, oh,
yeah,
that's a building, so you
yeah,
can't drive into there with your Stuart,
yeah.
and then you drive in, and it's like, oh, right.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah,
My veteran infantry are going to get
yeah,
plastered. They aren't
yeah,
going to do anything there.
yeah,
Um, so they weren't as protected as I thought.
yeah.
And then you
And
brought your buffalo around.
I did. I brought my buffalo. I brought three stewards into this area. I brought buffalo. I brought one unit of Gurkhas, one unit of Indians, and everything pushed down towards Phil's zone down here, where his objective was. And I knew that if I could just contest it at least, and I needed some infantry to do that. I knew if I could contest it, I could win because he was never going to go and contest mine. So that would be 2 contested and 1 to me. That would be a win.
But
In the end,
my
I actually managed to push you off the objective
yeah,
with a
but
few
my
lucky close combats and stuff. Yeah,
I'm going to say it could have changed slightly
yeah, I could have.
because I had your Buffalo. I was able to take out with my
Yeah,
auto cannon. Got 2
yeah,
direct hits on it,
yeah.
and it took that out. And some of the infantry were affected, but not as much
Not
as I
enough
wanted.
to stop
Yeah,
them.
not
Yeah,
enough to stop it. So yeah, I didn't really have anything to contest my objective in the end because I didn't have anything. Most of the things got pins on them.
yeah,
So it's hard to. The armored car was pinned
yeah,
really badly.
yeah. And
Uh,
I made sure of that because I was like, one, I shot my forward artillery observer down there, and then I started split firing with my stewards so that I could put multiple pins on units.
yeah,
um, and as soon as I start pushing, the only thing that was really a problem for me, and you can tell us all about that, was this suicider standing in this building.
yeah,
This one guy here. Because I had dropped my artillery bombardment down here, and as soon as it lands, everything became pinned. Right, I can't remember if it was 11 inches or something. It was a big
11 or
splash.
12. I mean, it was
Yeah,
two your units were.
yeah,
I don't.
I hit 2 of my own and got pins on them as well. Didn't matter
Yeah,
as long as I got pins on you, because then I could push my stewards, and I did.
yeah.
And I thought I was safe. This guy got 5 pins, I
5
think.
pins was
Yeah.
on.
So I
Yeah,
actually drove into this central town square here as well,
yeah.
and then you decide to take a risk.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, not like the Japanese, they don't have the banzai charge.
Yeah,
Only the sword, big sword thing, the actual anti-tank.
yeah,
They don't have the suicide charge, so you have to dice or do an order test to actually charge a tank or whatever you're charging.
yeah,
And yeah, I had 5 pins. I was veteran, so that gave me a chance. So I needed 4 or less.
yeah.
But how my dice are, I can throw low.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And he ran out and just
he,
hit one of my
he
stewards and
I think he got
immediately
a
killed it.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got
Boom.
4 or 3, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it was very fitting because I think that was the last real kill of the game.
mm,
And he had this one model had this huge bomb on a stick that he basically ran out and
we'll
just
say
slammed down in my steward. It was
yeah,
brilliant. It was
yeah,
brilliant. I did not
yeah.
see that coming. I thought he was safe, but he was not. Never
No.
ever let a suicider stand there and just try to kill you.
Especially if they're veteran, especially if they're Japanese. Japanese
Yeah,
are
especially if they're Japanese, but
yeah,
veterans, yeah, yeah,
yeah. So yeah, and also the flamethrower. That's
yeah,
out of your tactics video where I
yeah,
put him in a truck and
yeah,
he went over there and flamed your Gurkhas. And
yeah,
I also got the dice. So I think I tried to flame your Stuart and missed from
yeah.
point blank range.
Yes, you did, because you
So
did get
that's
the dice second turn, and then you got absolutely plastered and killed.
yeah. After that, but I did have a chance of taking your Stuart out as well. So
Yeah,
that's it. The
yeah,
dice gods when they're with you.
yeah, a little bit.
It's all balance. It's all balance, isn't it? And that levels out in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
here we have him with his glorious hammer of anti-tank mines.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that is one dead steward, really dead. And you can see I had at this point I had my forward artillery reserve up here. I had a truck, I had Gurkhas standing on the objective. Everything was sort of set up for the win. But
yeah,
that one anti-tank dude, yeah, right.
yeah,
And then you went on to your final game, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. We played. I mean, just to go back to that other one, Evan. We don't have to show the picture. It's
Yep.
Evan. I think even though he's really ill that day,
Yep.
he actually won his game against one of
Yeah, he did.
yours.
Yep.
And I just have to say hats on to him to actually playing because I
Yep.
didn't think what we both experienced that night. I hardly got any sleep because obviously I
Yep.
was sharing the room with him.
Yep.
And he was so ill that I I couldn't actually imagine playing one game, let alone
No.
three, and actually winning a game. So, kudos to him. Hats off. He did really well.
He was deadly pale, and he was
He had
not
to keep
doing.
on, he had to keep on going out of the room.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fantastic, to do that.
Yeah.
So the last game we faced Germany.
Yeah.
And this
And
was
you
a
were
bit of
playing Martin?
Martin, yeah.
Yep.
Nice guy as well. All nice, the German guys were.
Yep.
And he had the Stuart list again.
Yeah.
A little bit different. But this one, the scenario was where you count points every turn if you're with an objective.
The timely objective one.
Yeah.
And you had an objective here?
Yeah. One on the left-hand side by that outcrop, you can't really see it.
Over here?
There. Yeah.
Okay.
And then one right over, he placed one right on the flank there.
All the way out here. Okay.
All the way over there. So because I had forward deployers, I've got my scouts and my anti-tank guys. The suicide bombers can be. So what they did, they just sat on the objectives for the first few moves, and basically just weaved in and out of the Stuarts and machine guns. Yeah. So I picked quite a few points at the start that saved me at the end, which I knew because in musket and tomahawks there's a similar scenario where you score off, so you need to get to them objectives early on. So I was able to do that, and my anti-tank guys, they just went down, so it's like 7s to hit. And then if you do hit, then you've got to get 5 or 6s to kill.
Yeah, so that's not very likely.
Yeah, so it took them a few, get into range, close range to actually take them out.
It does take a little bit of setting up to actually get into a range where you can push people off. So it's all a question of do you push people off the objectives before turn 3 or after turn 3? Because if it's after turn 3, then you pretty much lost the game just by the first 3 turns.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we had. I didn't have much cover for my mortars and things like that. That's the problem. My big sword squad contested the middle objective.
This one.
So I don't think actually. I don't think actually. You might have captured one of the objectives, the one on the far right.
Yeah.
But
that means that you won this game as well?
No, I drew in the end, unfortunately. I didn't get enough up there. I think he got enough points in the end, so it was a draw in the end. And I just needed one more point. I would have won the game.
So close.
He took out quite a few of my units, and that's the problem. He had anti-tank artillery piece in that house on his right, on ambush. And halfway through the game,
placement. It really covers a lot of the table, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I had that lorry on my left-hand side at the bottom with a flamethrower in it, and I remember some words of wisdom halfway through the game from I think John or Evan about you can use the lorry as cover. Get it in front of the objective.
Yeah.
So I thought, I need to get over the other side with me lorry. And truck. I'm supposed to be American, aren't I? A truck. And cover that area.
Yes.
Of course. So I moved it. He was on ambush. Blew it up straight away. As soon as it came from them houses, blew it up. I forgot it was an ambush. I try and take it out with a mortar, and I think I went down to 3. So it had 3 tries with my mortar before I actually took the actual artillery. Well, it was too late then. I think it was on turn 4, took it out.
Yeah.
So
that sucks.
That's the last game. But really enjoyed it. Excellent guys. So
all in all, your experience at the WTC, would you go again?
Yes, definitely.
It does sometimes get a bad rep for being very whacker, very win-focused, hyper-competitive. What was your experience?
I didn't find it's that. I mean, I play in Spain,
Yeah.
and they're quite competitive anyway in the tournament. So I didn't think it was. Like I say, the game 3 against Martin, it was so great. It was just, and against yourself as well. Yeah, you know, there's no. Sometimes I forgot rules because obviously I play different rules systems. So I forgot to do a move. I mean, I did one against Martin on the last, the German Martin, sorry, against where my big sword squad had gone down.
Yeah.
And at the start of the game, because he had a steward who was pinning him, and then towards the end of that turn, I charged his unit with them, forgetting they were down. Did all the result of combat, won, took the objective, and then I thought, that's got a down marker, I forgot. So I said, look, we're going to have to take it back, sorry. You know, we're going to have to take it back. We're going to have to do it again because I'm messed up. So people can make honest mistakes. And I always go back and say, look, I've done that wrong.
We've done that wrong,
but I thought it was great. I thought the people were fantastic. Everybody got on, and, you know, had a beer after it all ended. And I say bolt action is such a fun game to play. You can't.
It is.
You know, I mean, the 3.5 hour drive getting back that night because I had work the next day.
That is nothing, Phil. Imagine the rest of us going back home. Flights and everything.
At least you had that night to recuperate.
True.
Hopefully recuperate. But I had to after the presentations about 9 o'clock. So I got home
you
about
had to go,
4:30.
Yeah.
Back up at 7 o'clock in the morning for work. But like I say, I had an excellent time, even if it wasn't in Spain next year, which I think it might be.
It just came out, actually. The announcement came out to captains and representatives that we will be going back to Spain, and it will be going back to the same location. And they have also revealed that they will do singles for 2 days first, and then over the weekend we'll do the team. So that's a first. I can announce that on the channel here as well. That's what's going to happen.
Well, if it's in March, I'll be all right because I'm on sabbatical next year.
Nice.
I've got plenty of time off
that
work.
Sounds good. I will see you there then, because I'm definitely going as well.
Yeah.
Phil, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. I'm sorry again for messing up our recap. I'm glad you could do the recap then, and I'm really glad to have featured you. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was a pleasure playing a game against you as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
That was the end of us today. Do you have any final comments for the viewers, Phil?
No, just I hope everybody's and we'll enjoy the actual competition and go back next year as well. Let's see if we get some more teams there as well.
Yes. Right. See you next year, and that was it. Cheers.
Bye.